Hey everyone, my name is Sean, and in today's video, I wanted to revisit my Bug Ballpark deck that I published last year on this channel and give it another go. After exploring gem nights and seeing different ways you can utilize the power of normal monsters, I wanted to try some other decks that utilize normal monsters and see what I can do with those too. And Bug Beatdown or Bug Ballpark is another one of those decks which uses normal monsters really well. In case you don't know what Giant Ballpark does, this is an amazing field spell card that works as an extender. And what this card does is, during damage calculation, anytime a player will take battle damage, you can make that battle damage turn to 0. And what you then do is send one level 4 or lower insect monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if it was a normal monster you chose to send this way, you then get to choose to special summon any number of monsters with the same name as that monster from your hand, deck or graveyard. This card is really great because it is such a good way of swarming the field with lots of great normal monsters like Shiny Black Sea Squatter or Insect Knight. And often what you can do is attack with one monster directly and then choose not to do the damage, activate Ballpark's effect and summon 3 Shiny Black Seas and do 6,000 damage into your opponent quite instantly. Plus, because these are level 4 monsters, you can also do more with it by using them as materials for stuff in your extra deck. So it's really good. But the synergy doesn't end there. There's also a card called Gokipole, and this card is absolutely crazy. This card is an insect monster that says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand, and if you added a normal monster, you can special summon it. Then, you can destroy one monster on the field with attack greater than or equal to that special summon monsters. This card is insane. By normal summoning it and using it with Salamangreat Armorage, this card can work as a starter, and then it summons a normal monster from your deck, so it's an extender, and then it acts as removal all in one card. It's insane how powerful this card was, and I think it's only a matter of time before a card like this becomes incredibly broken for the game. And so Gokipole and Giant Ballpark are 2 really good cards that we're going to be building this deck around. So for starters for this deck, we're going to have 3 Gokipoles. And Gokipole unfortunately isn't searchable by many means, but you can send it directly to the graveyard using a card like Foolish Burial. And then we also are going to play 2 copies of Mathematician, because you normal summon this card, send any level 4 or lower monster from your deck to your graveyard, like Gokipole, and then you can trigger its effect. This is really good because it turns Mathematician into a 1 card Link 2 monster or a 1 card Rank 4 monster. Then we are playing 3 copies of Fiend Sanctuary. This is a card that I used in my Gem Knight deck that I thought, wow, this card is crazy, being a not once per turn token generator card that summons a level 1 normal monster to your field. And that's really great when you're playing a deck with normal monsters because you can turn this card into something like Link Spider and then use that Link Spider's effect as an extender to bring your normal monsters from your hand to the field, or make something like Link Cerebro if you want to. So this card has a lot of potential and it's just a free summon. It's a really easy card to use. Speaking of free summons or really easy cards to use, we have Instant Fusion at 3. I seem to be putting this card in every single deck, but it's such a good generic starter card that can be used in so many decks. It's why I kind of love this card. And getting your startup ratio to 14 cards is really optimal because it allows you to have a 90% chance of drawing into at least one of these cards in your 5 card starting hand. And that's what you really want to do. The final card we have here is Gold Sarcophagus. And Gold Sarcophagus is going to allow us to banish 1 card from our deck. And that is namely here to trigger the effect of one of our extenders. And that extender is a card called Resonance Insect. Resonant Insect is a lot like Gokipole, but with a couple more restrictions. It only has 1000 attack too, so you can send it to the graveyard through Salamangreat Armorage by doing a link summon with it. And this card has 2 effects. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 5 or higher insect type monster from your deck to your hand. Then the second effect is if this card is banished, you can send 1 insect type monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card is great because it searches that card from your deck, but it also can send cards like Gokipole to the graveyard. Now, in order to trigger the banish effect, we are doing Gold Sarcophagus, of course, and then we're doing 2 copies of Aztec Capede, the Worm Warrior. This is just an extender really. It's a banish 1 insect monster card from your graveyard to special summon this card. The effect doesn't matter, it's just a level 4 extender card that you can use, and that will allow you to trigger Resonance Insect effect when it is in the graveyard. And then we also have 3 copies of Giant Ballpark and 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Giant Ballpark unfortunately can only be searched with terraforming. We're not playing set rotation or metaverse in this deck, but you could use those if you wanted to as well. Now onto removal, this is where this deck really shines. As I already said, Gokipole is already a removal card, so you already have 3 forms of removal in your deck as well. And then Instant Fusion, with some of the targets we have, such as Thousand Eyes Restrict, is also going to be a removal card. But because this deck revolves around Giant Ballpark, and you want to do battle damage, it's kind of better if this deck goes second rather than first. This card can be used defensively, like you can put it on the field, and then when your opponent attacks you, you can make battle damage go to 0. But of course, if they see this card on the field and they actually read it, they are probably going to destroy it before they actually attack you, because they're not going to want to give you 3 monsters. But yeah, so this card is better used going second, and so we're playing a lot of go second cards here. As I said earlier, Resonance Insect can add 1 level 5 or higher insect type monster from your deck to your hand. And what a better target for that than adding some kaijus to your hand, giving you another form of removal. So the Resonance Insect from an extender card into the potential to then become a removal card, which is really, really good. And there are 2 insect kaijus, Humongous, the sticky string kaiju, and then also Gardeler, the mystery dust kaiju. And so we're playing one of this, one Humongous and one Gamma-Seal, so that we have different levels, not different levels, but different attacks, so that you can choose to give your opponent the weakest one in the situation and keep the strongest one for yourself. Also, because we're playing kaijus, we're playing 2 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This is just to put pressure on your opponent. You activate it, try to blow up the field, and if they stop you, fine. You've got rid of one of their interruptions, making your ability to go for Giant Ballpark a little bit easier, because they're not going to have a negate on the board. But it also works as an extender, because when this card is in the graveyard, in the turn that it was not sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add a kaiju from your hand. And so, between Gokipole being the monster removal, kaijus being monster removal, and things like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, there really isn't going to be a monster in the game that you cannot deal with. There's going to be loads of boss monsters that you could just get rid of thanks to your package here. To cross the line between Monster Disruption and also Spell and Trap Disruption, we're also playing 3 copies of Lightning Storm. Go second card, you play it, blow up your opponent's field, and then you pop off. It's really simple, really good to use. Then for our extra deck options, we have 1 Nightmare Phoenix, one of the best Link monsters in the game right now. Destroy a spell and trap card on the field. Nightmare Unicorn for shuffling. And then I'm going to try out 1 copy of Topologic Trismania. I don't see myself using this card much, but this card used to be really, really popular. And I almost forgot that it was in the game. This is a Link-free monster that says, if a monster is special summoned to a zone, this card points to banish as many of those monsters as possible, and then also as many spells and trap cards on the field as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each of their cards banished by this effect. This is a good card. It's a good, like, heavy storm kind of card, where you just banish all cards on the field. But similar to that, we're also playing Zero Boros as well, which is its big brother. It's a Elite 4 monster, and if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, it banishes all cards on the field. So we have a good variety of monster removal cards in this deck. We've got Tributes for Kaijus, we've got Spell and Trap Destruction, we've got Banishing it as well. We've got really, really good removal in this deck. Now, at this point, I would then want to put in the engine requirements, so we don't go over our 40 card limit, because this is going to be only a 40 card deck. And so we are playing 3 copies of Shiny Black Sea Squatter and 3 copies of Insect Knight, simply because they're the biggest and strongest insect monsters that we can summon with Gokipole and with Giant Ballpark. Next, defensive options, and this is where it gets a little bit lacking. There are because we're playing a go second deck, this deck doesn't really do too much going first. But what you can do is you can use Instant Fusion to summon Millennium Eyes to protect you from hand traps. You can use your level 4 monsters to make Link 4s like Abyss Dweller or Baguska, or I suppose if you want to do something else, you can also choose a different option. And then we have IP Masquerader as well. This card allows you to link summons during your opponent's turn, turning cards like Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn into interaction during your opponent's turn. But also, IP Masquerader makes your card that you summon with this card immune to destruction by opponent's card effects. And this is really nice when combined with one of your endgame cards, Mech Knight Crusader Avramax. On its own, Avramax cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and only your opponent can it protects all your monsters from being attacked except this card. And then when this card is attacked, by a card that was special summoned, which it most likely is going to be because it has 3,000 attack. This card can gain attack equal to that monster's attack. So this card is already really hard to get rid of, but then if you summon it via IP Masquerader and give it the ability to be immune to destruction by your opponent's card effects, this card becomes almost nigh invincible. It has a really good threat for you to kind of sit on, and it can be used offensively or defensively in your turn. And then we're going to use the last bit of space in our deck to use the Predaplant Verte package with Neos Fusion. It just sends cards to the graveyard and brings up Rainbow Neos and does a lot of damage. This deck doesn't have a good win condition. I thought about maybe doing the Utopia double combo. That is an option for you, of course, if you want to do that. But because Gokipole is a level 3, Mathematician is a level 3, and Kaiju's are like level 7 or 8, I kind of wanted to make sure we go for a generic answer, so I went with this instead of doing the Utopia double combo. But if you want to do that, you can absolutely do that instead. And if you want to do that, that's simply just a case of doing, you need more space in your extra deck, so you need 2 slots in your extra deck. You need 1 slot for Utopia number 39, 1 for double, and then in your main deck you just need a copy of Double or Nothing, and then you have a card that can go to 10,000 attack. And so feel free to fit that in if you want to, or don't play this at all if you don't really like it, it's up to you. So here is the deck build, and then we're going to go into some gameplay. We have 1 Elemental Hero Neos, 3 Insect Knight, and 3 Shiny Black Sea. For effect monsters we have 2 Aztekipede, 1 Gardener, 1 Gameciel, 3 Gokipole, 1 Cubungus, double Mathematician, and 1 Rainbow Dragon, and 3 Resident Insect. For spells we have 3 Fiend Sanctuary, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Giant Ballpark, 1 Gold Sark, 3 Instant Fusion, and double Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, followed by 3 copies of Lightning Storm, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Neos Fusion, and 1 Terraforming. Then we also have 1 MER, 1 TER, 1 Rainbow Neos, 1 Dweller, 1 Maguska, IP Phoenix Unicorn, Link Spider, Link Karibo, Avramax, Verte Anaconda, Almirage, Trispania, and Zeroboros. So I've got a video for you to see today. Let's go to our homepage here and go into action, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what this deck could do when you play online ranked. So here's the first game I want to show you today. We're playing against Germany, 1984. I wonder if 1984 is a significant year for German history. I'm not really too sure, but I do love the Germans. I think they're a blast to hang out with. Maybe it's the guy's country of origin and his birthday. I don't know. So my opponent sets 2 and passes, and that's fine. We're playing a Go Second deck, and so we are going to do some shenanigans. First, we're going to start with Lightning Storm. Going to use it to destroy all spells and trap cards on the field. So I'll pop his back row. I don't know what that first card was, but we have Bottomless Trap Hole, old school card there. And then we're going to play Gold Sarcophagus, and we're going to banish 1 card from our deck face up. And the card we're going to go and search out for is, of course, going to be Resident Insect, and then that will trigger its effect when that card goes off. So Resident Insect gets banished, you activate the effect, and then you can send 1 Insect type monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then we're going to send our Gokipole. Now, Gokipole is obviously best used when you have a card to destroy in the field because you get the full benefits effect, but it can just work as an extender, and that is A-OK as well. Now, when you use Gokipole as a compared to Giant Ballpark, you want to maximize Giant Ballpark's effect, so always go for a card that you haven't drawn yet. So let's say you had a Shiny Black Sea in your hand, and then you activate Gokipole, and you're not going to use Giant Ballpark just yet. Go for save Insect Knight for later on, so you can get 3 copies of it out of your deck for Giant Ballpark, and go for more copies of Shiny Black Sea and use those more. Then we summon out Aztekipede, and then I'm going to just put more extenders on the board. I'm going to put Instant Fusion out, I'm going to make MER, summon that in defense position. I don't think my opponent's got any interaction at this point, so I'm just going to kind of pop off here, and then we're going to use MER to go and summon out a copy of Link Karibo, and put that onto the field. Link Karibo hits using any level 1 monster, so it's really good in a deck like this, and makes really good use of our Eyes Restrict monsters. There's the little guy. And now we're going to go to battle phase, and I'm going to show you how Giant Ballpark works. So, Little Karibo is going to attack. Little Karibo, no, Link Karibo. Link Karibo is going to attack first. Giant Ballpark will trigger if you want it to, and then you send a normal monster from your deck to your graveyard. You choose a normal monster that you haven't already searched out from your deck, so we can use our Insect Knight, and then we're going to get 3 copies of Insect Knight from our hand, deck, or the graveyard, and we're going to summon them all to the field. So off there goes 1, now 2, and now 3. And now we're going to just keep on swinging, and we are going to potentially just OTK our opponent. 1900 with Astecapede, then he triggers his effect. He sends 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. Then we have Insect Knight, that's going to do some damage to our opponent. And then we use Shiny Black Sea Squatter, and we're going to keep on going, and this is going to be game. And so hopefully you guys can see a little bit of the power of this deck. It puts loads of monsters in the field, and even if you don't go for game here, you've now got tons of resources that you can use to go into your extra deck. So you can make your IP Masquerader, you can make your Baguska, you can make your Abyss Dweller, depending on whatever best counters your opponent, and you can do a whole lot with this deck. Now, because that was a little bit short, I'm going to show you one more video as well, just to be kind. So we're going to do this again, and it's against Germany 1984 again. He immediately wanted to re-challenge me. He's like, you got lucky. So he chose to go first again, and I'm going to be like, okay, cool, off you go. And he activates Malefic Territory. Interesting card. This looks like it's a start card for Malefic World, and that's pretty cool. So Malefic World is a card that says, during your draw phase, instead of drawing, you can reveal 3 Malefic cards from your deck, and then your opponent chooses one at random for you, I believe. And then you shuffle the rest back into your hand, or back into your deck, or maybe into your graveyard. Now, which is fine. So none of these cards actually have any effects I'm worried about while they're on the field. The only thing that Malefic Continuous card says is that it protects you from Protective Field Spell from being targeted by opponent's card effects. So we only have to worry about what my opponent might have face down, and he's just revealed his Soul Drain. Soul Drain is a really good card. I used to play Soul Drain in True Dracos during the time and era that Salaman Greats were one of the most popular decks in the game, because it turns off the graveyard without it being a card like Necro Valley. And when you use it in a deck like True Draco, you have continuous spell trap cards that you can utilize through then your tribute summons, which is really, really good. So I use our Fiend Sanctuary to make a Link Spider. We use that level 1 token, a normal monster, and then we're going to use Link Spider's effect to then special summon Shiny Black Sea from our hand to the field. And so we've got 2 monsters on the field. Now that we've got 2 monsters on the field, I'm going to go ahead and normal summon out. I'll activate our Giant Ballpark. And then I'm going to go ahead and normal summon out Gokipole. And because he has a Soul Drain on the board, Gokipole won't be able to trigger because it will turn off effects in the graveyard. But we're not even going to rely on that right now. All we're going to do is attack, use Giant Ballpark's effect. Ballpark will reduce all the damage. We're going to go grab the Insect monster that we haven't already got in our hand. So we're going to get Insect Knight out. Insect Knight hits the field. 1 copy onto the field there. 2 from our deck. 1 from the graveyard. Lovely jubbly. And then, if you're getting that feeling of deja vu, you should be, because we're going to OTK our opponent again. Once again, we've got a board in 1 single turn. We've got 4 level 4 monsters, 1 level 3, and yeah, that's going to be the game. And that's Giant Ballpark, guys. I think this deck is actually really good. This is kind of why I need to redo my tier list, because I think this deck has a lot of potential to be a good, like, mid-range deck, and it catches a lot of people off guard. So I think it's pretty good. You have Kaijus, you have Lightning Storms, you have so many different forms of removal, and you can even modify it to change it to the way you want it to be as well. It just is a little bit lacking in the defensive department, but otherwise it's a really, really good deck. Thank you guys as always for watching my video. If my voice sounds strange at all, it is because I am currently a little bit under the weather. I've got a very sore throat, but still trying to hit my target of doing 1 video every day. So, you know, we just power through and push through. And so my apologies if I do sound a little bit off, but it is what it is. But thank you as always for watching my videos, and yeah, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you soon. Take care.